On today's show, OKC wins again with a victory over the Clippers. Denver finally snaps Houston's winning streak, and the Cavs no longer on that 4-game losing streak. We'll talk about all those and every game on Locked On NBA Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
What's up, everybody? I'm Danny Cunningham from Locked On Cavs. He is Swipa from Locked On Nuggets, and this is Locked On NBA Game Night, where we talk about every single game from Sunday, March 23rd in 30 minutes or less. Thank you for listening to this show. Thank you for making it your first listen every day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. We're on YouTube as well. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button for us, click subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Swipe, but we had an 8-game NBA slate on Sunday, and I think we got to start out in LA, where OKC beat the Clippers 103-101. And to me, this certainly felt like a game that the Clippers probably should have won. I think they certainly played well enough to win. I think both teams defensively were really, really good in this one. I do feel for the Clippers, there was a missed call in the final few minutes that I do think really cost them here.
Yeah, I mean, Thunder fans felt like SGA got a hold of the ball and did not get a hold of Zoo. But I think for everyone else watching it, it looked clear like Zoo got held down. Zoo then tried to make an appeal to the officials, but they had already used both of their challenges. So unfortunately, they were not able to do anything about that. But look, first off, the Thunder, they're the best team in the NBA. SGA, who's going to win MVP this year, been incredible all year, wasn't good today. You know, he had 26 points, but he was 7 of 29 from the field. But all his points came from the free throw line, 11 of 11 tonight. They did a really good job on SGA. And I'm speaking of Chris Dunn, who should be first team all defense, but will not make it because of 65 game, 20 minute per game minimum, which is just insane. They had a really good defensive performance from Derrick Jones Jr. tonight. Kawhi Leonard even stepped up and did a good job. The Clippers earned everything they got today. You know, you got a great game from Kawhi, 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists, 10 of 20 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. Norman Powell did not have a good game today, but you got another double-double from Ivica Zubac, including 4 offensive rebounds for him today. And then James Harden, who we all know, like in settings like this, as he's gotten older, he can struggle versus physical defenses at times. And so he was 4 of 14 from the field. You get a better game from him or from Norman Powell, it's probably a different game. But again, that speaks to OKC. They're incredible. Alex Caruso and Cason Wallace, they absolutely held down the fort on the defensive end, and so did Lou Dort today. And Alex Caruso down the stretch of that fourth quarter was hitting some really timely buckets, getting to the free throw line as well. And he made a really clutch corner 3 to give them a lead in this game. So when SGA struggled, Cason Wallace was there to get to the free throw line, made a free throw. Isaiah Hartenstein in that short roll, 14 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists, Danny. They just have a team, and they have a bunch of players on their roster that know their role. They know how to play winning basketball within the regular season context, and they have a way of playing together and finding out ways to overcome disadvantages over the course of a game. And they did an exceptional job at that today.
So one of the things that really stood out to me, and because of the way that this game ended, and it was a great game down the stretch, and the second half was tied. Both teams scored the same amount of points in the second half. But first quarter, Clippers won it 34-24. And SGA typically plays all 12 minutes of the first quarter. He did that on Sunday night, and then he's going to sit the first half of the second quarter. And that is when this Thunder team typically struggles. Their offense kind of craters when he's not on the floor. They are just elite offense when he plays. They're, below average offensively when he doesn't. By the time he checks back in, not only did the Thunder erase that 10-point deficit, they had the lead. Like, that to me is where this game was won. I do think that we do have to mention OKC won this game. Chet Holmgren didn't play. Jalen Williams didn't play. So it's not as if they were at full strength and found a way to get beyond a below average by his standards Shai Gilgeous-Alexander again. No, they were a team that was without some pretty key players and still found a way. Like that, I do think speaks to just how great this team is. And they're a team that I do think is probably a team that is greater than the sum of their parts. Like, if that makes sense. Like, if you just add everything they have, and there are some really good parts there, I don't know that they're actually as good as they are. I think that they fit so well together and they play so well off of each other that they're better than they should be. They elevate each other.
Yeah, and I think one of the things is that when you have so many players that do similar things, especially on the thing that makes them great, which is their defense, when you have players that are able to operate at that high of a level and they just know how to work together, work on a string, cover for each other, but then also too, like, they have played so many games together now at this point. When they do get in clutch situations like this, they're just able to trust one another. And again, most teams, their solve for SGA is going to say, get the ball out of his hands. Let's get it to Dort. Let's get it to Caruso. Let's see if you can make these shots. And today, Caruso made an important shot. In the past, Dort has made some important shots. And that's going to be the playoff gamble too, because SGA, you better believe at some point in time, teams are going to start blitzing him at half court. And then it's going to be up to iHeart and everybody else to figure out how to do it. And they got great repetitions at that today. iHeart in the short roll is a really good player. And his ability to find that next pass is one of a kind amongst centers for the most part. Obviously, there are other really good passing centers in the league, but he's just really good in that area, really good touch around the rim as well. So, yeah, they got a team, man. They got a complete team, Danny. They have a team that does a lot of different things. And again, they continue to find ways to win game without Chet and then even without J-Dub as of recent. And I'm just thinking now at this point, look, they got the MVP, but look, y'all cannot sleep on how everybody else on that team plays together. They're truly like an elite, generationally great team.
For a final thought on this game, let's head on over to Rylan Stiles from Locked On Thunder.
Thunder got another win. It's their 10th straight road win of this streak, and it's the franchise record for consecutive road wins, and it was on the back of Alex Caruso. Because the Thunder did not have Chet Holmgren, did not have Jalen Williams, and SGA had his worst game of the season. But even with all of that, it was Alex Caruso's elite defensive play and strong offensive output that allowed the Thunder to gut out this win down the stretch and really fight and claw back in a game that always felt like it was going to go the Clippers' way. The Thunder found the way to win, and they just continue to prove that even whenever you see them without Chet, without J-Dub, and without a strong SGA game, the margin for error is so slim, and mistakes down the stretch, specifically not having a timeout to advance the ball down 3, really hurt the Clippers in their chances of avoiding a season series sweep. But the Thunder take care of business on the road, and now will have to move forward and take on Sacramento before returning home for a long homestand.
So OKC, of course, has already clinched the best record in the Western Conference. They are on their way to potentially finishing with the #1 record in basketball. It was a day of streaks being snapped, though, because not only did the Clippers see their winning streak snap, Miami Heat saw a 10-game losing streak snapped on Sunday with a 112-105 win over the Charlotte Hornets. Andrew Wiggins had by far his best game as a member of the Miami Heat. He finished with 42 points on 16 of 21 shooting. Tyler Hero had 29 points for the Heat, and they finally just looked like a team that had a pulse, and that has not been the case since they traded Jimmy Butler away. You are muted, which is what Miami has been lately.
I was trying to make sure. I wanted to look this up because I knew we were moving into this game. Danny, can you give me where exactly are they in the standings right now? But despite that 10-game losing streak,
despite that 10-game losing streak, they are currently in 10th in the Eastern Conference. They're 1 game back of the Chicago.
They're 30-41. Just for context, y'all, this team before the losing streak, they were 29-31, which was very in the Eastern Conference. That's a playoff team. Like, you realize the 7th seed in the East, it's 35-36 this year. The fact that you can lose 10 straight games and you're still in the playoff hunt. Look, man, I'm just telling you that this was not the way. This is not the way that the plan was designed. It was not designed to make sure teams that were playing this poorly. You have a 30-41 team currently slated to make the play-in this year, and right now your 8th seed is 33-38. So, yeah, I'm great. They got the win. I know personally a lot of Miami Heat fans and media folks. They're just looking forward to getting some real talent in the draft, see if they can find their true guy. in the future. Maybe they will. There's a lot of players in the NCAA tournament going crazy right now, but good on the Heat. They're able to somehow tank for a really good draft spot and also stay in the playoff picture.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting to see if they're able to get into the lottery and miss the playoffs completely, or if they're going to have that dark Miami Heat magic and find a way into the 8th seed and give the Cavs problems, because that's what Miami does. I don't think that this team is necessarily built for that. In the last game we're going to touch on in this first segment, San Antonio Spurs moved to 31-39 on the year with a 123-89 win over the Toronto Raptors. Devin Vassell had 25 points for the Spurs to lead the way in this one on 11 of 14 shooting. And San Antonio, again, kind of in not necessarily the same area Miami is, because the expectations are vastly different, but they're just kind of playing out the string here. And I think Toronto very much wants to lose.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. The Spurs were looking like a complete different team, looked like a playoff team, honestly, when Wemby was there, but they still been able to get some really good development. Devin Vassell, Stephon Castle looking as good as they did. I mean, that's important for them going forward.
Yes, it is. And it is important that the Denver Nuggets are able to find a way to win without Nikola Jokić. We're going to talk about that game next, right here on Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Do you ever check your bank account and wonder, whoa, where'd all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it can be easy to lose track of that cash. And that's where Monarch Money comes in, because they'll be your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over all of your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center, and you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you just stop managing your money and start building that wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan for those long-term goals that I know you have. And managing money with your partner can be smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without all the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA, that is LOCKEDON NBA, at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. Thank you again for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. You can find the show anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. Make sure you go sign up for your favorite team's newsletter from Locked On over at lockedondaily.com. That is lockedondaily.com. In what was, I think, one of the more interesting matchups, and certainly a game that had a lot to do with the Western Conference standings of today, was the Denver Nuggets taking on the Houston Rockets. Denver got a 116-111 win over Houston, snapping a 9-game winning streak for the Rockets. No Nikola Jokić in this one, but Jamal Murray had a terrific game, finishing with 39 points on 15 of 28 shooting, 7 dimes, 4 boards. DeAndre Jordan, really good as well in this one too for the Nuggets. 11 points, 15 boards. This was a really, really impressive win.
Yeah, and the veterans had to step up. DJ and Russ. Russ had an up and down game, a lot of down, but he did make some important plays today. And I think there's something to be noted. Jamal Murray, 39 points today, 15 of 28, 63 true shooting today. He made 4 threes. The shot making from Jamal was incredible. But look, Danny, one of the biggest stories of this year is that Jamal Murray, his first half of the season wasn't good. Everybody's aware of that. But since Shaquille O'Neal called out Jamal Murray on TNT, but right before the Dallas Mavericks game, Jamal's averaging 24, 6, 4, and he's shooting 56% from 2, 42.5 from 3, 93 from the line. And he's been one of the best guards in the league, one of the best guard scorers and playmakers in the league as well. So Jamal is just, he's finding his bag. He's played against Asar Thompson as of late, cooked Detroit. He played against not the last game versus the Blazers, but the game before, had 55 versus them as of recent. He played versus, again, J-Dub and them were on the court. OKC 2 weeks ago on Monday, and he had 34 in that game, and he was cooking Caruso, Kaysen, whoever. When he's feeling right and he's in his head and he feels good, honestly, there's just not many better guards in the league, but it's just about him finding the consistency. Like last game, he had 10 points. This game, he has 39 points. Looks like he's unstoppable. That's the Jamal Murray experience. But great game. Aaron Gordon also making some really important mid-range jumpers in this game. He ended his game today with 13 points. Had 2 really clutch middies to close it out. Porter was 17. The Nuggets had 6 players in double digits. That's kind of been their MO this year. We're going to have 6 players that are scoring really in 6 different ways. And then obviously no Nikola Jokić. Danny, I'm not going to lie to you. You probably remember this as a Cavs fan, 2017, 2018. They might not have finished as a top 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, but what happened was LeBron, he just went to a different place, that playoff run. And right now, the Nuggets are trying to do that. They're basically saying, look, he has a knee injury. He has a ankle injury dealing with. He has this wrist injury, all this other stuff, shoulder, arm, whatever, elbow. We're just going to just literally coast him the rest of the year. That way, come playoff time, he's averaging 29, 13, and 10 this year on shooting 62 from 2, 41 from 3, and 81 from the line. Let's see if we can get you up to 35, 13, 12. And we're just going to make sure that you have a full runway to do it. And the reason he's able, I think, to extend that, because they have a game tomorrow, Danny, too. I don't think he's going to play, because you get a win now. You get a win versus the Houston Rockets, and now you're playing the Chicago Bulls tomorrow, and then you're going to see if you can rely on your other guys to get it done again. So this is the NBA. Like, the Nuggets, their floor is really low, but their ceiling is really high. And the Houston Rockets had won 9 straight games coming into this. But Danny, if you look at those 9 wins they had, they didn't play good teams over that stretch at all. So this is really their first real bout. Şengün was not good today. Jalen Green was not good today. Do you know who the best player was for the Houston Rockets today?
Probably Dillon Brooks.
Steven Adams.
Steven Adams was good off the bench. He was good off the bench. Dillon Brooks had 21 on 12 shots, hit 5 threes. Dillon Brooks had 14 and 12.
But he had 4. But no, here's the thing. You got to remember how the Rockets play. Steven Adams had 14 points, 12 rebounds, and 10 offensive rebounds. The way that the Rockets are wired, because they are their first shots, they don't make a lot of their first shots because they don't even shoot well around the rim, let alone anywhere else. Their offensive rebounding is key to making their offense work. Steven Adams was looking like Brock Lesnar out there and how he was gathering up those rebounds. Honestly, like they got 4 possessions on 1 shot at one point, and a lot of it was just Steven was just being a manimal down there. So Dillon Brooks also did have a good shooting game, but look, Jalen Green had 30, didn't feel it at all. He actually, kind of got a really late layup. Aaron Gordon got a horrible foul call on him because Jalen Green had a 3 that he tried to go for, and then Aaron Gordon grazed the bottom of his foot. The referees called a foul. I mean, it was just a really poorly ref game as well. But overall, man, the Rockets are really good. The Nuggets are really good. The Western Conference, I honestly have no idea, like outside of OKC, who's going to be that second team that really makes noise.
No, I don't know either. But for a Rockets perspective, let's head on over to Jackson Gatlin of Locked On Rockets.
Rockets' 9-game win streak was snapped by the Denver Nuggets without Nikola Jokić, 116-111. What's up? This is Jackson Gatlin, host of Locked On Rockets. And man, it was just too much Jamal Murray in this game for the Rockets. 39 points on 15 of 28 shooting. They let Murray get going early on with some defensive miscommunication that led to some wide open looks. And once he saw the ball going a few times, there was no stopping him. He was burning guys left and right in isolation. Rockets really had no answer for him. Didn't matter who was guarding him. And despite Jamal Murray's hot shooting night and the Rockets' own shooting woes up and down their roster, Jalen Green, 8 of 22, Fred VanVleet, just 2 of 12, Alperen Sengun, 6 of 15. They managed to erase a 19-point deficit, and they actually made it a 4-point game with just over a minute remaining. They forced a really big turnover off of Aaron Gordon on an inbound pass, and it led to a huge Dillon Brooks three-pointer. They just didn't have enough left in the tank to finish off the comeback. And in a game that's going to have some seeding ramifications, the Rockets are now 1-1 against the Denver Nuggets in their season series. And for two teams that are vying for that number 2 seed in the Western Conference, it's all going to come down to the final game of the regular season between these two teams.
Just for context, Jokić has not played in either one of these games. So he had the flu in the first one. Yeah, he had the flu in the first one, and then this one they're sitting him for rest. So yeah, they are 1-1. I was listening to Ryan Hollins and them on the mic today. They're like, blah, blah, blah. They won the last one. Look, I honestly don't know what the series is going to look like between the two if it happens. It probably won't happen because not having, I think many would say, the best player in the world kind of playing in these matchups kind of matters a lot. But look, Jamal Murray's finding his footing, man. How confident? Let me ask you this, because people ask me this on Twitter. Danny, you're a smart guy. You do really well with this business. That's why people like
Thank you.
Who do you feel like the Rockets could beat in the playoffs? Outside, let's say beyond outside the top 6, like if there's whoever they're going to play coming out of the play-in, should they stay the 2 seed? Because
so coming out, I think they could beat the Clippers. I think they could beat the Kings. I think they could beat Phoenix.
I agree.
I think the Clippers could beat them. I don't think that the Kings could beat them. I don't think Phoenix could beat them. I'm just because I don't believe in Phoenix at all. I know they've won 3 straight. They've looked better lately. But after that, like, I think it's a really tough matchup for them against Minnesota. I would pick Minnesota to win that series. If Golden State slips down and ends up as the 8 seed somehow, I would pick Golden State to win that series. I don't think Memphis is going to fall into the play-in. I think that'd be a really interesting series. I would probably pick Memphis. I don't know that I feel good about either of those teams, but that's sort of where I'm at. Like, I see the Rockets as the team that is, probably going to have home court in the West, and I don't believe in them at all.
Yeah. Look, I think that the Rockets are probably maybe they may just be a player. Rockets fans think I don't like Şengün. I think he's a good player. I just don't think if you told me I could have my pick of the litter, he just doesn't have the finishing, the touching, like the touch around the rim. Like he just doesn't have certain things that I think you're going to need. And he really struggled versus DeAndre Jordan again today.
Right.
Right.
And we're not talking Lob City DeAndre Jordan, like not the same guy that played for the Clippers once upon a time. Very different player now.
And that's his size and athleticism that like's giving him issues. So I think he's still developing. Jalen Green, you just never know what you're going to get. Look, this is 30. He had 30 today, but it was the worst 30 I probably have seen. Him and SGA had very similar 30s today. I'll say it like that. But overall, man, like I think the Rockets are good, dude. I really want to see them be successful, but you know what? They're going to win 50-something games this year. That's it. Like that's the best.
That is a successful season for them.
100%.
That is 100% a successful season for them, no matter what happens in the playoffs. If they win a series, great. If not, like this is still not a failure of a season for Houston. Well, the Cavs have been failing lately. They had lost 4 straight. They go into Utah. They get a win. We're going to talk about that game and every game left next right here on Locked On NBA Game Night. Thank you again for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. If you're watching on YouTube, do us a favor, hit that thumbs up button for us. Click subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss the latest content from us. The Cleveland Cavaliers had lost 4 straight games. They go into Utah, get a 120-91 win over the Jazz. I don't think that this was by any stretch of the imagination a good game from the Cavs. They had a really good third quarter where they really took control of this game on the defensive end of the floor, but they had their worst 3-point shooting game of the entire season and still found a way to win by 29. I think this is probably an opportunity for them to start to turn things around a little bit. The month of March has not been kind to them. I think they look like an exhausted team, but a win is a win, especially when you've lost 4 straight.
Oh, yay. They beat the Jazz. Oh, man, doom and gloom. What were the Cleveland Cavaliers going to do? Oh, man, like they lost 4 straight. Everybody panic, big deal. Like, I just think it's so funny. Like, everybody already wants the Cleveland. I'll be honest with you. We're just having a conversation. And people in the chat know this to be true. They're watching this game again. Everybody wants the Cleveland Cavaliers to be frauds. Everyone was.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Everyone does. Because they don't have a true end superstar, I would argue. They don't have like an all-time great player. For sure they don't. They're missing like what people think is like a real true MVP caliber player. And everybody's just like, oh, yeah, well, you don't have one of those guys. We want you to whatever. And it's Cleveland. Who are you without LeBron? I mean, so much of this is tied into like LeBron's not there. So like, this is just the Atlanta Hawks in 2014-15 all over again. And I'm just sitting here like, dude, like, I think people are in for some surprise. Like, not even the first round, second round. Like, as high as I am on the Pacers, they could sweep the Pacers this year. And then it's like, well, they were playing the Pacers. And then they play versus Boston. Honestly, Cleveland's in a no-win situation here, right? Because you keep winning, and it's like, well, they're just a regular season team. If they lose, then, well, they weren't as good as I told you they were. And then they win in the first and second round, like, well, it's the Eastern Conference. And then they lose to Boston. Then it's like, well, of course they couldn't beat Boston. And then they have to – the only way for this season to not have narratives attached to it is they beat Boston in the conference finals. That's really the only way.
I think it's a shame because this team is great. Like, they are the best regular season team I think the Cavs have ever had in franchise history. And a lot of that has to do with the fact in LeBron's second tenure, those Cavs teams, and understandably so, didn't take the regular season super seriously because they knew what the postseason was going to entail. And this team hasn't accomplished anything in the postseason the way that LeBron had to that point. So that makes sense. But this is a team with one of the 15 best net ratings of all time. Like, they are so far beyond what that Atlanta Hawks team was. And I think that people who were with the Hawks at that point, like Cavs head coach Kenny Atkinson, who was an assistant on that staff, Damari Carroll, who's a Cavs assistant coach that was a starter on that Hawks team, I think they would tell you this Cavs team is light years better than what that Hawks team is. But they are, because of where the Eastern Conference is at, they are in a no-win situation because they're expected to steamroll through everybody that's not Boston. I think they will. And then if they lose to Boston, it's, oh, you guys were frauds anyways. And that's just not going to be true no matter what happens.
Look, man, my money is pretty. You know me at this point, Danny. I'm pretty firmly in the Cleveland branch. They might not even beat Boston, but that's not like a bad thing. Boston's also they might be the most. They might be the most portable team in the league. Like genuinely, you know what I mean? Like they can probably play versus anybody. And like they can, they have a chance to win any series. So for me, I just think this team is really good. They beat Utah. Who cares? Like they could have lost 8 straight games. It wouldn't have meant anything to me. And the people are just so panicky about this. Like it's March. There's nothing to play for. They're gonna be the first seed. They're not winning MVP. Like if maybe if D-Mitch had an MVP to win, then I could see him like really hunting this late in the year. But they have nothing. There's nothing for them to win. Kenny Atkinson's already got Coach of the Year. I mean, what are you competing for now? Executive of the Year? Okay, well, what's March going to change? You already got DeAndre Hunter.
It's nothing. Like they are waiting for the postseason to arrive. And, when they get there, I think they will look like a much different team than they look like right now. But speaking of those Boston Celtics, they beat the Portland Trailblazers 129-116 on Sunday. Let's head on out to John Corrales of Locked On Celtics for more.
Boston Celtics get their 5th win in a row, their second 5-game winning streak this month. Jason Tatum, 30 points in total control of this game, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. It's the 5th time this season he's fallen one stat shy of a triple-double. He's got 2 triple-doubles on the season. Sam Hauser hits 8 3-pointers. The Celtics hit 23 of 50 3-pointers. Hard to beat the Celtics, even though they didn't have Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, or Kristaps Porzingis. Still hard to beat the Celtics when they're playing like this. The 24 points from Sam Hauser was a big help. They got 16 from Peyton Pritchard, despite some early foul trouble. They got 17 from Derek White, who was his usual self. 8 assists, 6 of 12 shooting, 4 of 10 from 3, and 14 points from Al Horford, who didn't have the best game in the world, but still chipped in double digits. Big night off the bench for Luke Cornett. He was huge. A lot of second chance points. He was perfect from the field. They got a good stretch from Baylor Shireman. All of these guys stepped up. Torrey Craig. J.D. Davison had a decent 8-minute stint. That is how you need to win a game against a very feisty Portland Trailblazers team, right? The Celtics never were threatened outside of a second quarter run where the Blazers tied it up, but they were also never able to pull away. So a great overall contribution and a star contribution from Jason Tatum.
John is right. The Blazers have been feisty lately. They had won 4 games in a row before this. I would push back against what John had to say about being 1 stat short of a triple-double when you are both 1 assist and 1 rebound short of the triple-double, as Jason Tatum was. But overall, a nice win for a shorthanded Celtics team.
Yeah, it's just funny to me. But, yeah, I do think, look, the Celtics are really good, dude. Like, I'm sorry. They're loaded. The team is loaded. They're well coached. They have a scheme that works for them, and they look good today. And Tatum has been phenomenal this year. So, yeah, I mean, they're dogs, and they don't have to have all their guys. I think that speaks to how good they are. Like, oh, no JB, like, no Drew Holiday, like, no Kristaps. Shucks. Like, I guess we got to rely on Derek White and, Jason Tatum and Al Horford to carry us through. And I think those are really good players. And even Torrey Craig off the bench is a valuable player, like a valuable wing to have off the bench. Brad Stevens does a great job with this team, and Joe Mazzulla is doing a great job with this team. They're great. Like I am really excited for this playoffs, and I wish I could. The playoffs in the Eastern Conference start in the second round, and so I will be waiting. I will be seated and waiting. Now the Bucks Pacers series will be good. The Knicks Pistons series, if we get that, will be good. But But that stuff's going to feel like JV playoffs compared to what I think is ahead. I mean, not JV playoffs, but it's not going to be Boston, Cleveland if we get there.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But
if
my agenda works, then hey, maybe the Pacers get there and Tyrese Halliburton gets to prove all of you wrong.
You have too many agendas. You said the Cavs could sweep the Pacers last segment.
They could, but I think the Pacers are a lot better than people give them credit for.
You just want your agenda to win either way in a Cavs Pacers series. That's all you want. Speaking of a Central Division team, the Detroit Pistons got a 136-130 win. No Cade Cunningham in this one for Detroit. No Zion Williamson for New Orleans. Let's hear from Jake Madison for more.
CJ McCollum is a professional scorer, but the Pelicans lose to the Detroit Pistons 136-130. I'm Jake Madison, host of Locked On Pelicans. No Zion Williamson in this one, so the loss is truthfully expected. Probably would have been expected even if he did play in this game. But the Pelicans fought hard, and you got to give him credit for that. CJ McCollum with 40 points in this one, 12 of 28 shooting, made 5 threes. He had 5 rebounds, 7 assists. Look, he's a key player for this team. They're anticipating bringing him back next season, but could be on the trade market. They've got a decision to make right there with him of what do they want to do? What does this Pelicans team look like going forward? And then CJ goes and does something like this, and you go, oh, still pretty good here. By the way, he's now in the top 20 when it comes to three-pointers made for a career. We got more on this game over at the Locked On Pelicans podcast.
If you want more on that game, go to Locked On Pelicans or go to Locked On Pistons. Then the final game of the night, the Atlanta Hawks beat a bunch of guys who called themselves the Philadelphia 76ers, 132-119. Quentin Grimes had 26 points for Philly, also was on the receiving end of some pretty significant trash talk from George Niang, who has really stepped up his game, or I guess that has been enlightened a little bit more, his trash talk game. Trae Young had 28 points, 12 dimes for the Hawks here. And Atlanta's actually been playing some solid basketball lately as they continue to fight to be at the top of the play. And they're 7-3 in their last 10. This is their 3rd straight win, and maybe they'll be the 7 seed. I don't know.
Yeah, good for them. Trae Young, really good game today. 28 points, 12 assists. Really efficient, 10 of 11 from the field. If Trae Young, I'm gonna be honest with you, if Trae Young and Dyson Daniels if Trae can score and score at a high level and Dyson defense is real, they could scare whoever in the first round. Because especially Trae likes playing versus Boston. Trae likes playing versus the Knicks. So if he gets an opportunity, he's gonna put on the show in the off, man. So I hope they get there and I hope they can see one of those matchups.
I just think with those matchups, because you're right, they have had success against those teams. A lot of that success came when that team had Jalen Johnson healthy and DeAndre Hunter on the roster. And I think that those two guys not playing for Atlanta in the playoffs would make a really big difference in either of those matchups that you look forward to. But thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. We're on YouTube as well. So make sure you hit that thumbs up button for us, hit subscribe, and click that notification bell as we get out of here. The show will be back tomorrow talking about every NBA game from Monday.